Welcome in, Jake West, Director of Team F1 Sports, joined by Caleb Tallman. This is the North Georgia Shootaround. We're transitioning from football into basketball. There's not any of our North Georgia teams left still playing football. So this is going to be our weekly show from now on. We're going to talk all winter sports, basketball, a little bit of wrestling, swimming, whatever else we hear about that's going on. We're just going to get on here and shoot the bull and talk about it. But for now, basketball season's just getting underway, and we've got some really good basketball teams in our local area. And starting out with Fannin County girls, I mean, last year state runner-ups, they made it to Macon County. Let's do a little preview on them and what they've got returning and what to expect from them this year, Caleb.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Fannin County girls, they really returned quite a bit, Jake. But just to go back to last year, and I mean, they went 23-5 last year, 12-0 in region. Let me pop up some of that information for our fans here. And we'll do a lot of this on this show this year, guys, as we'll try to get more into the stats and do some screen sharing and go through schedule breakdowns and stuff. I mean, just looking at them last year, 23-5, 12-0 in region. The only teams they lost to were teams that were, either bigger than them or just incredibly elite teams. But I mean, you just see you look at get towards the end of that schedule and it's just win. I mean, I don't have time to count. People don't want to hear me count live on air, Jake. But they ended that season with double-digit straight wins. I mean, just an incredible year. And the thing about it is they did lose some seniors. From Priscilla Batista to Paige Forsman, Abby Ledford, Natalie Thomas, Mackenzie Johnson, and Olivia Sissons. I mean, when you lose 6 seniors, you think, oh, wow, we lost a lot. But they bring back their top 3 scorers that were all underclassmen last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a shock to anyone, Jake. But they're led by Becca Ledford, who was it she just signed with?
North Georgia, I think.
Or was it West Georgia? It was one of the.
Yeah, I think it's you're right. West Georgia, I believe.
Yeah, so she just signed with West Georgia. So I mean, anytime you're at a smaller 2A school like Fannin, and you've got a D2 signee playing point guard for you, I think especially in girls basketball, Jake, we see it all the time. If you have elite point guard play, that one player, like when you have a point guard, sometimes you look at teams and you think, oh, if we traded those 2 point guards, those 2 teams would be completely different. Because a point guard, like a quarterback in football, makes everyone around them look better.
Yeah, I mean, guard play is where it's at for the Lady Rebels. They just added Ellie Cook, the transfer from Union County this year. She was, I think, the second leading scorer on Union County's team last year. She's going to help them a lot once she gets comfortable in this offense. And also Courtney Davis, a younger girl. She's gonna really help them out. Where they're going to be lacking, I would say, is down in the paint. They don't have a lot of size. You see, the tallest girl on their team is 5'9", I think. So
is Ava Queen back? She was a sophomore. I'm looking at last year's roster. Ava Queen, 5'10". I mean, but still, that's quibbling over an inch.
Yeah, and they're going to be playing some girls that are really big. So losing the presence down low is going to hurt them. But I mean, they've already started out this year with a blowout 69-13 win over Copper Basin, and then this week they'll play. They'll finish out with the ETC tournament with Gilmer and Pickens, and then on Saturday they'll play a tough game against North Oconee. And then December 4th, that's the game everybody's going to have their eyes on. Murphy and Fannin, they scrimmaged earlier, I think, a week ago? Just a week ago. And that was a close and that was a tight one. As everybody knows, it keeps up with basketball in the area. Murphy is back-to-back state champs, but they lost a lot, and that was a close scrimmage. I'd say both those teams will be ready to bring it on December 4th. So that's obviously the first game that Fannin has highlighted on their schedule, and then they've got to get up for region play the Tuesday after that, starting with Model. So things are going to get started. I mean, very quickly. They're already underway as far as basketball goes in North Georgia. I mean, that's what happens when you go to a small school. I mean, these switching over to the Fannin County boys. These boys just got done playing football Friday night against Fitzgerald. Their season came to an end, and now they're going to be suiting up, putting on the basketball shoes, getting in basketball shape. And that's what happens when you go to a smaller mountain school like Fannin, two-way school. You don't have as many athletes. You've got to have kids playing both ways. And obviously, Fannin County is one of those schools that's the same way. What is Fannin County boys returning this year, Caleb?
Not coming off their greatest year ever, Jake, obviously. And for those that know, Fannin County's boys have only ever made the playoffs one time in their history. So Fannin County boys, obviously, just not known for their basketball acumen, I guess, so to speak. And we're going to play some of those interviews at the end of our show here, Jake, and you can also find them on the Team F-Line Sports YouTube. We got a bunch of interviews up with North Carolina and Georgia teams, for those of you that like to see both. But they're coming into the third year under their coach, and some of that, I think, establishing the program is going to be important for them. And it finally feels like they're getting into a year under Brian Richardson where it's like they're either going to turn that corner or they're not. And, I really think there's a good chance they could turn that corner. One of the guys I think is going to be a surprise for them. Obviously, they have two returning starters, Landon, Norton, and Jordan Bennett. Both those players are seniors. They're going to provide a lot of leadership, is what Coach Richardson said. They're going to be the team's two captains. But, we always hear about, you just shared about a transfer on the girls' side. Teams get different transfers, different players move in every year. You hear from odd locations. I was at a Franklin Hayesville scrimmage the other night, and their principal was telling me they got a kid that moved in from Alaska. So that's got to be the craziest transfer you've heard about. And I said, that's the second craziest transfer I've heard about, because Fannin County boys got a kid named Chasen Ethington, whose family was on the mission field in Israel. So don't know when the last time Fannin got an Israel transfer in, but they said they're really excited about him. Said he could really help carry some of that scoring load that they lost with Caden Twiggs, who graduated and was a first team all region player. That probably gonna take a little time for him to acclimate. But once he gets in the swing of things, he could be a really big time player that Fannin wasn't expecting to have.
Yeah, for sure. And Coach Richardson, you said he's getting into his third year. I mean, he's done some good things to that program. You can tell they've won ball games just sheerly off of his coaching. Can't say enough about how good of a coach Coach Richardson is and what he's been able to do for this program. I think they're on the up and up. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be competing for a region title in the next 2-3 years, but I think they're 4 or 5 years away from really getting on top. And I think people of Fannin County see that. Like you said, they've never been a big boys basketball school. I mean, they've never even been a football school. They've always been a girls basketball school. And obviously that tradition is carrying on. But you can see Chad Cheatham came in. Took him 4 or 5 years to turn that program around. I'd say the same thing is going to happen for Coach Richardson here as he takes over the Fannin County, or as he took over the Fannin County boys basketball team a couple years ago. So they'll be fun to watch this year, and it'll definitely be fun to see their new transfer come in. And I've heard he's pretty good, pretty smooth down in the post. So we'll see. Let's move on.
And one last thing I did want to share, and you can actually see this as between you and I, we've gotten lots of good preseason articles out. Both the Fannin County and boys and girls articles are out on the Fannin County website.
Yeah.
Fetch Your News. So feel free to always go over there and take a read. One thing I did want to share, Jake, though, is this is actually from an article I wrote. One of the really interesting things I think just tells you how close the Fannin County boys program is. They had 5 different games that they lost by less than 10 points last year. They actually had, I think, 9 different games that they lost by less than 13. So if you were to turn that around a little bit, Jake, and say they win those 5 games that were all, single-digit losses, they're 11-7 last year, and they're a playoff team. So I think that's the thing is, can they find a way to win some more of those close ones this year? Because if they do that, you have to say that the Fannin County boys, only having made the playoffs once in their entire history, the big goal has to be making the playoffs. That's step one in building this program. I think it's doable.
Yeah, I would agree. That's good info, and then there's a lot of good info packed in those articles. And want to encourage you to go back on the website and read those, the boys and the girls articles. And I think we have boys and girls articles for Gilmer County coming out pretty soon too.
Our Gilmer girls article is already out. We had some scheduling issues, and I'm waiting to hear back from the Gilmer boys coach. And once, I like to get those interviews in, because it's kind of hard to write about the team until, you get some stuff from the coach. So hopefully we'll have that soon.
Yeah, I think just this week, Fannin girls and Gilmer girls are playing, and that's a game that a lot of fans are excited for, as Gilmer girls are also pretty hot and they're on the rise. What are they returning this year? I know they've got the Callahan girl, who's probably their best player, but they've also got a lot of other key contributors coming back. They should be.
Yeah, here's the thing: is they bring back a lot of talent, and they bring back their number one contributor in Ellie Callahan. But they did lose 4 of their top 5 scorers last year, in Emma Callahan, Emma Dayton, Hope Colwell, and Beth Burnett. Colwell was also first team region, along with Ellie was last year, and then Emma Dayton was second team all region. And so they lost a decent bit, but they do bring back their star. In some parallels, they remind me of like a Murphy girls team, where it's such a solid program. There's always talent waiting in the wings just to get their opportunity. But similar to like Murphy this year, that they brought back their star. Gilmer's bring back their star player in Ellie Callahan. I mean, she's really going to be a huge piece for them. Another girl that they're looking to take a big step forward is Lark Reese. She was kind of their quote unquote, Susan Nunn, who I interviewed from Gilmer, said she was their quote unquote 6th man last year and did get lots of playing time. There was times where she even finished out games for them. They always say it doesn't matter, especially in basketball. It doesn't matter who starts; it matters who finishes. So she'll be taking a big step forward this year as a starter. Brooke Wilson is a younger player who they said her role really grew as the season went on last year. And they think she'll have an even bigger role this year. And then Coach Nunn was just pretty honest. She said they have quite a few girls that she feels are very talented, but they're just looking to find who's going to take that next step, because they really need to find some guard play, because we know Ellie Callahan has some outside skills, but she's not going to be playing point guard for him, I don't think. And so it's just going to be one of those things where, can they find the guards that can get Ellie the ball and Brooke Wilson the ball? That's going to be a really big thing for them.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you were to mesh the Fannin girls basketball team and the Gilmer girls basketball team, they'd probably be unbeatable, because Gilmer needs guards, Fannin needs bigs, and they've got the opposite. And I'm sure that could make one heck of an all-star team right there. But I think we've got a little bit of just a short highlight video from the Gilmer versus Pickens girls game that was played this past weekend. If you want to play it, Caleb.
Yeah, I've got it. I'll pull it up momentarily as we go through that Max Preps ad that's playing in the background right now. Our fans don't need to see that, but yeah, I think that we're going to see moving forward. Here we go. We got it pulling up real quick. Restart it. As we see moving forward, I just think Coach Nunn expected early for them to be we're having issues getting it to go. Coach Nunn expected them to have some guard issues early, but sorry, we'll see if we can get that video back up, Jake. Have some guard issues early, and then once that kind of sorts itself out, I think they'll stand a better chance to beat the better teams. I really do think that's the case. They just have some young guards that, as they acclimate and can handle pressure, I know one of the things they struggled with a little bit was the pressure that Pickens brought on them. Let's see if we can get it to play this time. We apologize, folks. Sometimes when you screen share, it doesn't work out quite right. But like I said, it'll just depend on how quickly do their guards acclimate. And I think they're a playoff team, and they might end up being one of those playoff teams where, they don't get quite the seed you'd expect out of them. But if they can get their young guards playing well and just taking care of the ball and finding a way to get the ball to their post players and their scorers come playoff time, they could be a really dangerous team. And I also think one of the things is, and you can read this in our article on the Gilmer County Fetcher News website, is that this is going to be Coach Susan Nunn's last year. She's not hiding anything. This is going to be her swan song. She's been with the program quite a few years now, and they've been really good under her. So I also think there's going to be a part of it where those girls want to send her out right.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's just something about a team that's got something else to play for, and it definitely seems like Gilmer's gonna play their hearts out for their coach as Nunn is retiring after this year. Her and Coach K retiring, having their own little retirement party together. So let's switch over and talk about the Bobcats boys basketball team. They did not finish the season well at all last year. Finished the season on an 8-game losing streak. I think they were 3-14 and only won one game in Region 7 AAA. So what are they returning, and what do they have to do to get back on to a winning season?
I think the big thing for them is just some of their execution stuff, and to be honest, they're in a downturn right now. I do think there's some talent there, but they do return, several players. They did have a handful of seniors last year, but they also have a really large junior class. And I think one of the good things for them in that junior class that's now seniors, as I spoke about them from last year, they got Cade Carter, who's 6'6". They got Lewis Mulkey, who's 6'5". So they do have some pretty good size coming back this year. And I think, Brady Sanford, he's actually a shooting guard listed at 6'4". Same thing, Ethan Banks, 6'3". So they've got some good size, Jake.
Sanford was a senior last year, I believe.
Say that again?
Sanford was a senior last year.
Okay, yeah, you're right. This Max Preps roster is not completely updated. But like I said, they've got some good size. And I just think for them, it's going to be about execution and taking that next step forward. I don't know what that's going to look like for them because they play in a really tough region. And I think they're going to have to get a little more consistent guard play. They might not be all that different from their girls team. I think their ceiling's lower, but can they get that guard play to get it to their big post guys?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've talked about 4 teams so far, and none of them seem to be really as complete as I'm sure their coaches and fans would hope for them to be. But I still think of the 4 teams we've talked about, there are going to be four really good basketball seasons to be had. Let's shift over, stay on 5:15, talk about Pickens girls. What do you expect from them this year? I don't know if you were able to do an interview with them, but they're also 1-0. They beat Gilmer 56-50 on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things you take away from that is just by the fact that they were able to beat a pretty good girls team in Gilmer shows you that Pickens girls are going to be pretty solid as well. Girls basketball in North Georgia is no joke. I mean, they were 22-5 last year, went 10-2 in a region, and I almost look at it from them as it's like they're moving down to 3A next year, and boy, if they can be a region winner from last year, in a 4A region, Region 7 and 4A, what's that going to look like for them next year? And I think as I get their roster up, they return.
They've only got.
Go ahead.
Not talking about returns from last year, but you're talking about moving down to 3A and how it might really help them. They've only got 2 seniors on this team.
Yeah.
So, and maybe not this year, but the year after that, I mean, Pickens is going to be – their girls team could really make some noise.
Yeah, and they did lose let's see. They did lose 4 or 5 seniors off of last year's team, but I think one of the encouraging things is, and we don't have stats and stuff in front of us, is they had 3 or 4 freshmen on varsity last year, Jake. So just you got to think moving down to 3A next year, by the time that'll be the 3rd year on varsity for several of those players, and with experience comes success typically. And I think still this year they're looking to defend their Region 7 4A crown. And I think that it's a tough road to hoe, but I think they're capable of doing it. And I think they got off to a real good start beating a solid Gilmer team. I mean, that Gilmer team is nothing to – I mean, we just talked about them. And so I think should be another pretty good year for the Pickens. I think they call them the Dragonettes. We'll have to get RJ on here, and he can coach us up on it. And I'm sure we will get him on a time or two in the season, as we'll have lots of different guests. So it's just not you and I every week. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think that was an Elite 8 team last year. Pickens County, after they won their region, they went to the Elite 8 in 4A. So, I mean, you mentioned they lost quite a bit, but they still got some young girls that were contributors last year. So, hopefully.
Yeah, they lost in the Elite 8 just by 2. So, I mean, they were right there with it. And what's interesting is the team they lost to, Jake, in the Elite 8 won their Final Four game and then lost in the state championship game. So you're talking about, a 2-point loss. They win that game. You might be seeing that Pickens Dragons team going to the 4A state finals last year.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm sure they're looking to make another run this year.
Absolutely.
What about their boys team? I think their boys team finished right above 500 last year. Okay year. They were 4th in the region, 8-4 in league play. What do they return, and can they get that step above just being 500 this year?
Well, and that's the thing. You talk about them being 500, similar to the Fannin boys in some respects. I think they had 7 different games, Jake, last season that they lost by less than 10 points. So when you look at it from that aspect, they weren't far away from being close to a region championship. But, I think they did lose quite a few seniors, but they do bring back Luke Rogers, who's a big 6'6" power forward for them. Also bring back Caleb Bryant and Jaden Stewart, who are some of their guards. And I really think for them, they've got a chance to once again compete for a playoff spot. I don't know that they'll necessarily be competing for that region championship, but then again, you never know. And I think, sometimes it's hard though, because you almost look into the future and you keep looking at Pickens and saying all their programs are, that close to a region championship or that close to a state championship for some of them even. And then you think about them moving down to 3A next year. And that might be scary for some of the 3A opponents.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, with this boys team, I'm going to take the opposite side. I think they're going to take a step back this year. I mean, they graduated 6 seniors on a team of 11 or 12, and their number 1 player, Tucker Lowe, is gone, number 1 scorer. They're definitely going to need to get some, like you said, Luke Rogers, Caden Hampton. Some of those kids are going to have to really step up because, I mean, you lose 6 seniors, and a lot of those were starters, and you got a whole lot of playing time. That's going to really make you take a step back. So that's my reasoning in saying that they're going to take a step back, but who knows? Coach Duffy does a good job over there, and hopefully he can get his boys back right where they were. But it's hard to reload when you lose that many kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things you'll see is I think they're really going to look for Luke Rogers to take a step forward this year. He's got several college offers, Jake, from smaller schools like Maryville and Reinhardt and Piedmont. He averaged 8 points a game, 7 rebounds last year, and 2 blocks. And I think a lot of their team will hinge on how big of a step can he take. Can he go from And you do see that, especially at bigger schools, a lot of times where you see a guy go from his junior year to senior year when he averaged 8 or 9 to averaging 15 to 20. If he can take that next step, that's what's going to be needed for the Pickens Dragons if they want to have another really good year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. And it all starts for all these teams we've talked about in the ETC tournament this year. That was played. They played some games over the weekend, and then they're going to play Monday and Tuesday. So we'll see. I mean, it all starts here, and they all get to play each other. They're all big rivals. I think the Pickens boys played Gilmer on Saturday. Don't have the score for that one's on our Twitter page. I can't remember off the top of my head who won that game, but tonight, Monday night, Pickens is going to play Copper Basin, and then Tuesday, Pickens is going to play Fannin County. So those will be always fun when rivals play each other. But let's talk about the Union County Panthers. Let's go back down to 2A and talk about the Union County Panthers. Their girls team struggled a lot last year. We had a lot of those games on fyntv.com, the boys and girls games, and their girls team struggled last year. But it looks like if the start to the season's any indication, they're definitely gonna win more games this year than they did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that alone is just, pretty obvious for them. They only won 2 games all of last year. So, I mean, just a tough year from them. But I do think they bring back some pretty good contributors. Who were you saying the one that was it Cook that transferred to the Fannin?
Yeah, Ellie Cook, she's at Fannin.
Yeah, but they do bring back 2 of their top 3 scorers, with the first being Ava Hunter, who I think this will be her 4th year varsity player, 6 foot forward, big time player for them. And then Rebecca Chambers was their second leading scorer. And so I think one of the things, as you said, they've already won a game this year. And so I think there's a good chance that you'll see them take a step forward. I do think Mandy Hunter is a really good coach. And like when you look at their roster last year, they actually do put their stats up on Max Preps, Jake. I know they lost the one transfer, but they didn't have a single senior playing last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, they bring back everybody. So sometimes I think it just takes a little bit of time. You know what I mean? I think we'll see what they have going forward. But I think a lot of those younger players, and excuse me, I know when Ava Hunter was contributing as a freshman, they had a pretty solid year. I guess that would be, almost 3 years ago now when they were 3rd in their region and went 23-7. So I think we could really see them take that step forward.
Yeah, Ava Hunter, just a menace down low. She's going to the University of North Georgia, and she is the main part of that offense. If they can get some other people that can make shots, then they can really compete. I mean, they've got big wins over Stevens County, and I can't remember exactly who they played in their second game, but I do think tonight they played Habersham in their second game. It was a big 6A school, and then in their third game of the year, they lost to Raven Gap. But tonight or Tuesday night, they're going to play Cherokee Bluff, and Cherokee Bluff, big school, a lot of good athletes. So that'll be a real measuring stick game for them as a girls team. What about for the boys? The boys struggled also last year, and I think they may have lost one of their top contributors.
Yeah, and I will say this, just so fans know, obviously, this being Thanksgiving week, Jake and I are recording this on a Monday, and this show comes out on Wednesday nights. Obviously, you know that if you're watching it. But typically, we'll record on Wednesday morning, so I know some of the games we've talked about will have already occurred, but just excuse us for the Thanksgiving scheduling this week, as we're also trying to fit in a North Carolina football show this week, all inside the holiday season. But going to their boys team, they did lose, probably their top player in Casson Hemphill. But according to their Max Preps roster, that's all they lost for the most part, Jake. And we'll find out. But I think, they bring back a pretty solid junior class.
Yeah.
Guys like Lake Hughes, Caleb John, Eli Pugh, Landon Knight. And And then encouraging wise is they did take it on the nose against Raven Gap Nakuchi, which especially in basketball, a lot of people take it on the nose against Raven Gap. But they did beat Habersham Central, which, Jake, that's 100% increase on their wins from last year because they had 0. So, I mean, every win right now for them is big. And I know one of the things, and you can talk about this a little bit for the boys and girls programs at Union, I think probably more than any of our North Georgia schools, they were affected by COVID-19 more than anyone. Lots of games canceled, lots of games rescheduled. They had all kinds of issues. And I know there were several different times where their basketball players had to be out of the gym for a week or two. That kind of stuff happens. Good luck having shooting rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned, I mean, they got the monkey off their back. First game of the year, they got a win against Habersham Central. And even though they did lose Hemphill, those returning kids that they have are really going to be key and really help them out this year. They've got a pretty favorable schedule, I would say. They're not in any ETC tournament or anything like the other teams we've talked about, but they've got Wilson Academy this Friday, and then Tuesday North Hall, and then on December 2nd they play Lumpkin County. They lost to Lumpkin County by 2 points last year, right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big game that they definitely want to win because they thought they were going to break their streak last year with a win over Lumpkin County. So that'll definitely be a game to tune in for as they host the Lumpkin County Indians on December 2nd. But speaking of the Indians, we're going to talk about the Indians, Lumpkin County Indians, as we get further into the show. We're also going to talk about Chattooga and some of the other local area teams. But it's hard to do a first opening show and not talk about a little bit about Lumpkin girls. They're looking for a new head coach. Their head coach of 4 years retired last night, just out of the blue, resigned, not retired, resigned, just out of the blue. And we put out an article. There's more information coming out all the time. So go read the article, read the press release from Lumpkin County Schools. But it really stinks for those girls because, I mean, they're ranked number 1 in the state right now in AAA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, who knows where to go from here? I mean, did the girls rally and say, we don't care who the coach is and we're going to play for each other and we still have a state championship goal? Or is it something that really, really affects them and hurts them? I mean, I almost don't see a way where it can't affect them in some way. But hopefully it's one of those things that whoever they name as the interim coach or whoever eventually ends up taking over the program at some point this season, they get it together by region tournament and region and playoffs and make sure they're still good enough to make the playoffs because their team, I really thought, had a chance to win a 3A state title this year.
Yeah, for sure. And we're not going to speculate on any reason of why the resignation happened or anything. We'll wait until all the facts can't come out. But as of now, you can go read Coach Dowd's statement as to why he retired on FetchYourNews.com under the Team FY and Sports tab. And we'll be sure to keep you updated on that story. But, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So it's mainly going to be us every week talking about Fannin, Gilmer, Pickens, Union, Lumpkin, Chattooga, maybe North Murray, some of the other teams we talked about there in football. So, man, we're gonna have a lot of coverage, and we're also gonna try to squeeze in some wrestling coverage and stuff like that for the boys that are on the mat and girls that are on the mat. So just stay with us. This is just a pilot show to kind of see how everything was going. Things will look different in the future, but thanks for tuning in. Let's play some of those interviews that we got to do with some of these head coaches, Caleb, and then we'll be out of here.
Absolutely. Caleb Tallman, Team FY and Sports. I'm joined by the Gilmer Lady Cats head coach, Susan Nunn. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great today.
Good. So we just want to find out about your team and what you guys have this year. Why don't you go ahead and start off just by telling us about who your key players going to be this year, whether they're returners or maybe you have some new faces coming into the rotation that are going to be vital for you.
Okay. We have a few returning players from last year. We graduated a lot of players this past year, but I have 3 key players that got a good bit of time last year that will absolutely be our top players this year. One of those is Ellie Callahan. She was our starting forward last year. She was our leading scorer, leading rebounder, led in lots of categories for us last year, and she's our senior this year. We have one more senior, Lark Reese, who was like our 6th man this past year and got tons of time. She'll be a key player this year. She's a great mid-range shooter. She does a really good like pull-up jump shot in our set plays, and she's tough defensive player, works very hard, so she'll be key for us this year as well. The other player that got a good bit of time for us last year that's returning would be Brooke Wilson. She's another post player, and she really turned it on the second half of the season this past year and got a good amount of minutes. So she'll be a player that I'm expecting a lot from this year. A lot of new players to the varsity this year. Several young players. Got several different players vying for a guard position. We're still trying to figure out who is going to fit the best in our system right now. So we'll be kind of moving some people around the first few games of the season. But we've got Charlie Poteet, Elena Miltiades, and a freshman player, Eliza Chastain. Sorry, brain freeze over here. But Eliza Chastain, who are all looking good at the guard spot, and several other supporting characters who are doing well at that position too.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned a lot of your players, why don't you take this moment and just mention the staff that you have around you? We know every good basketball program, it's not just the head coach. Everyone knows who you are because you got the head coach title, but who's your supporting staff that makes it possible for you to do what you do?
You are correct. The supporting staff is really the key to the whole thing. So, and I have some great people around me, and really an odd situation, I guess, for most coaching staffs. Every coach on my staff is a former Gilmer player. So I myself, a former Gilmer player. Coach Scott Kaiser is another one. Coach Ashley Waters and Coach Jessica Hensley is my newest addition this year, who has moved up from the middle school. Coach Waters and Coach Kaiser have been with me for several years, but Coach Hensley is a new addition.
Wow, I mean, that's incredible to have so much alum, but I mean, I'm sure that's a good thing because they know the tradition and they know what's expected. So
yes, what I say to people around me who wonder about that, what about bringing coaches in and from other places, get some new blood, that kind of thing. And I get that philosophy too. But here's what I know about coaches that are from here: they are all in from the start. I mean, they are this program, they were this program, and they want success and they want to stay here for their career. And so they're all about it. And that I love. And I think that's a great thing for our girls to see.
Absolutely. Go ahead and just share with us your thoughts. You play in what I think is one of the tougher you play in the 7 AAA region, but of all the AAA regions, I mean, last year you guys went 9-3. There's a lot of teams that go 9-3 and win their region.
Right.
And you guys had a White County 10-2 above you and Lumpkin County 11-1 above you. So really you're probably just really honestly a couple possessions away from being region champs last year.
Yeah. Yes, we were. We were in the region championship and really just lost it by the skin of our teeth for sure. We had a great season, made it into the Sweet 16 this past year. So we are super proud of our accomplishments. We've done that the last 2 years, and we're a lot of people would say we're in a rebuilding year because of what we lost this past year. But I tell my girls all the time, I don't care what we've lost. It's what I expect this year that matters, and I expect us to be top notch. So we definitely are young, but I feel like we've got a really great group of young girls who are coming along quickly, and we're going to get there. We're going to get to the pace that we want to be. And, it may take a few games in for them to recognize what that real varsity pace, especially in our region, looks like, because you are correct. We are one of the toughest regions around. and it's going to be a fast-paced, body-banging, hard season. So we expect a lot, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure.
Absolutely. And then, as you mentioned, you're talking about some people expect you for it to be a rebuilding year. Tell us, regardless of what other people think, what are your guys' team goals in-house this year? What are you guys looking to accomplish?
Yeah, we're looking, I told you we're looking for a lot from Ellie because she was our leading scorer last year, leading rebounder. But we're looking to do a few different things with her this year, get her some new ways, hopefully, to get the ball, because our expectation is that we're going to see a lot of doubling down on her, double teaming, anything they can do, zone defense packed in. So we're going to get her in some new positions. She can shoot from anywhere on the floor, so we're going to try to get her some really good looks. We're working hard on our girls, understanding that our first look is always a fast break, and we're going to run the floor all the time. So I've got some good young girls that are good at shooting the three, and I feel like by the end of the season they're going to be really great at it. So we're gonna look to utilize them for those kickouts that we're going to need as people pack in on Ellie. So we'll see how it goes, but I feel like we've got some really even different options than what we've had the last couple of years with our group that had been together for so long.
Yeah. And then my last question for you is just, obviously we know what your region schedule looks like, but go ahead and tell us what your non-region schedule looks like. And then also if y'all are playing, which I know you guys are, but you can go ahead and share it, what tournaments y'all will be playing in this year as well.
Sure.
Before playoffs, obviously.
We're going to open up with a scrimmage game with Copper Basin here next Tuesday, actually. And then we, as usual, we've got our big ETC tournament that we love. That's been a part of this program forever. And so we'll see actually Copper Basin again in that one, along with Pickens and Fannin. We'll play a Christmas tournament. We're going to Gordon Lee this year. So there's going to be a few from our previous region that we were in. I think Heritage is in that tournament and Lafayette is in it. And then they've got some other teams coming in from all around North Georgia. So it's going to be a great one for us to compete in. It'll be our first time going to Gordon Lee. Then we've also added in Southeast Whitfield. We're going to play Pickens again during the season. A few extra games in beyond our region teams this year. So we've got a great schedule, some really tough teams, and we're excited about it, ready to get started.
Very good, very good. Well, that's all I've got for you, Coach. Is there anything else that we missed out on, or you feel you want to share about your program before we end this?
Oh, no, you did a great job asking questions, but I would just say we're really looking forward to getting started, and I hope that we can fill up the stands all season long on these home games. I know it's been a rough couple of years getting people to the stands, and I totally understand that, but we're ready to get started and want our fans to be as excited as we are about this season. This is my last season. I'm retiring this year. So I'm looking for some great things, and I'm just looking to enjoy each and every day as we go along.
Trying to go out on a high note, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Hey, it's been a great ride. I have no complaints. It's been a lot of years of coaching, and I've been blessed more than I should have been. I know that. So I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing everything about the Gilmer County program this year and getting lots more coverage out to y'all.
We appreciate it.
Caleb Tallman, Team F1 Sports. I'm joined with Fannin County Rebels girls basketball coach Ryan Chastain. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good to be on with you.
Appreciate it. So we just want to find out a little bit more about your team this year. Obviously, y'all are coming off a state finals appearance. You've built a pretty strong program over there in Fannin County. Why don't you just start off by telling us about some of your key players, some of your returning players. I know you lost some seniors, and then maybe even, if you got any younger players that may be a surprise for people.
Okay, yeah, we'll start with the returners. We returned our 3 leading scorers from last year's group. We did graduate 6 seniors from that team, but our point guard, Becca Ledford, she's back. She was a first-team All-State last year. Reagan York and Courtney Davis. Reagan's a senior, Courtney's a sophomore. Reagan was all conference or all region kid, as well as Courtney as a freshman. She had a really good second half of the year, did Courtney Davis. And there are 3 returning contributors. And we got some younger kids that we really like. Our junior class has looked really good coming up this summer. Jenny Young, who's another senior that's really come on. Our senior class leadership's been my biggest thing of the offseason. We got 3 seniors this year who are Becca and Jenna and Reagan York, and they've shown tremendous leadership in the summer. Our juniors have come on really strong here in the fall, and we feel like this is probably our fastest, most athletic group we've had. We're not quite maybe as big and as bulky as we have been in the past, but this group's really fast. That's kind of been the recurring theme from the fall.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to take a quick moment, we know as every strong program has, obviously you're the face of that program being the head coach, but if you want to take a moment and just share about the staff that you have surrounding you that also makes your program so successful.
Okay. Yeah. Megan Queen, now Megan Norton, she just got married, so I keep messing that up, but she played here under Coach Farmer. And Coach Suzanne Pass, she played at Shorter. She's my assistant. She works a lot with our post kids. She does a really good job. And Randy Hallmark, he's a retired head coach. He was a head coach in Georgia for a long time. He brings a lot of experience to our staff. And this year we've added Lacey Walden, who just got hired back with the school system, who was also a former player. So we have three really strong assistants here who I think all play a really vital role in what we do. And I couldn't do it without those guys. They're supporting us all the time. You know, I'm a smaller guy. I was a guard. There's a lot of stuff about post play that I just, you got to be able to admit when you have weaknesses. And that was one for me. And having Megan here with me, a former post player, former college player, to work with our bigger kids, it's really a big deal. And Coach Hallmark being a former head coach, like he's always thinking of things that sometimes might go by me as a younger head coach. So I really depend on them a lot. They do a great job.
Absolutely. Go ahead and give us some of your thoughts on the region that you play in. You play in a fairly tough Region 7AA in Georgia.
Yeah, we do. The top end of the region last year, Dade and Chattooga were right there with us and played us tough every time we played them. Model, Sally Eccles at Model, she's had a ton of success, and she does a tremendous job there with her program. And you get a little clip of the announcements here at the end of the school day.
Carson Wehunt, Layla Sizemore, and Cole Stevenson to the office, please. Trent Lowry, Faith White, Lisa and George.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
You're good. You're good. Hey, man, it's you're not working at a D1 college. You're a teacher and a coach. You gotta roll with the punches.
The whole high school experience here. But we expect Dade and Chattooga to be strong again. We expect Model to be strong. The Coosa struggled last year. They have a new coach from Alabama that won a ton of games in the state of Alabama. And we expect a lot of competition. Pepperell, Coach Clater over there, I actually worked with her when I was on staff at the University of North Georgia. She was a player over there. A lot of strong coaches in our region, but it seems like, which you never know till you start playing games, but it seems like Dade and Chattooga will probably be the strongest competition we'll see within the region.
Absolutely. And so you talked about your region just a little bit. To go along with that, obviously being in a competitive region, but also you guys are coming off a region championship and a state finals appearance. What would you say that some of your team goals are for the year as you're getting into the beginning of the season here?
We just talked about it right out of the gate. You can't hide from the fact that we lost in the state championship game, and that's all everybody wants to talk about. And we've been very accepting of that. Like from the moment it happened, we've been very accepting. And the bottom line is you've tasted that, and now you want to taste it again. We want to make it back to making the Final Four, be back there. But see, we can't do those things without having a strong showing in region. We have a really tough fall schedule. ETC. That has Copper Basin, Pickens, Gilmer, and us is the first tournament right out of the gate. We want to win that. We talk about it all the time. It's right here on 515. These are the kids that all our girls have grown up playing against their whole life in the rec department, in the middle school. It means a lot to us. we're going to a Christmas tournament in Lumpkin County that's got a lot of big schools in it. We're going over there. We'll probably see North Gwinnett, Jefferson, possibly Peachtree Ridge, Lumpkin. Very strong programs. We play Murphy in our scrimmage, and then we're going to play them a regular season game. Ray up there is a good friend of mine, man. I got so much respect for the job they do there. And we're going to play them every year because it gives us a measuring stick. They're a good program. So we're going to see them next Tuesday night in our scrimmage game. Brandon Thomas at Pickens, another good friend of mine. They're preseason number 8 in Quad A, and they're going to be really tough to deal with in ETC. So we got a lot in front of us right here at the fall, but that's the way we like it. We want to be tested early. Mandy Hunter's taking over at Union. I expect them to have a bounce back year. There'll be tough competition for us right here out of the gate as well. So, goals, we want to talk about winning these tournaments and we want to talk about being the 1 seed coming out of 7AA, because if you want to make a run in the state tournament, you need that 1 seed in the playoff bracket. So those are probably the 3 things we're going to talk about the most, are the tournaments we play in, trying to protect ourselves here on 515. I told my kids, I said, if we can ever go undefeated against the teams on 515, I'll print y'all a shirt. And we've slipped up at least.
You there, Coach? I lost you for a sec.
And we want to try to get that 1 seed in 7AA.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Coach. We look forward to all things Fannin County Lady Rebels basketball this year. Obviously, like you said, there's no hiding the target on your back with the success that y'all have had. Do you have anything else you want to share about your program or your season?
Just thank you guys. Fetcher News does a great job covering us. We appreciate that, and we want everybody to come see us. Like we said, next Tuesday night we'll scrimmage Murphy here, and then the 20th, 22nd, 23rd we'll host ETC tournament here, Fannin, Gilmer, Pickens, and Copper Basin. So you guys come see us and come support our kids if you can.
Absolutely, appreciate you joining me, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Caleb Tallman, Team FY Sports. I'm joined with Fannin County Rebels boys basketball coach Brian Richardson. How are you doing today, Coach?
Doing great. How are you?
Can't complain. So we just want to talk about your team a little bit and your upcoming season. If you just want to start us out, just talking about what key players are y'all returning this year, or guys that you expect to be big contributors, and then maybe touch on some younger guys, or if you have any new players that might surprise folks.
Absolutely. We got 2 returning starters in Landon Norton and Jordan Bennett, who are 2 captains, both seniors, who, I expect them to lead us this year in a lot of categories. We also got a move-in family that moved back from a mission trip, and one of them's junior, Chase and Ethington. They moved back from Israel, who really helped us this summer. I'm looking for some great things out of him to help pick up some of the scoring that we lost from last year's 3 seniors that left. And then I got a couple of another junior, Bryson Wright, and sophomore, Will Jones, that's going to probably be in our starting 5. And, all those can score for us and do other things. But, we'll probably play a lot of guys early on, up-tempo kind of style, especially on the defensive side.
Good deal. And then, every good basketball program, a big thing about it is the staff that you surround yourself with. If you want to just take a minute and tell us about some of your assistant coaches or support staff around your team that help you.
Yeah, I got one assistant, Joe Britton, who does our JV and great job. And, we work with our middle school closely, and Jeff Daves and Wesley Simonton that are doing a good job over there. And we like to build it even from our rec department. And I work with those guys and work with the middle school. So we're trying to build a program here. This is my 3rd year here, and I think we're in the position to turn that corner that we've been looking forward to doing in the boys basketball program. And, that's what we've been really putting in everything that we do from the rec department to the middle school to what we do here in the high school. And I think it's going to pay off.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, just your region and stuff a little bit. Go ahead and expand upon that if you don't mind. Just you guys do play in a pretty difficult 7AA region that's very competitive.
Yes, it is. This year I think Model and Chattooga will once again be the favorite. Model won the region last year. They have me back. Chattooga lost, a couple of key players, but there's a couple of key players coming back. So I think those two will be the favorite. I think after that, we could all be in the mix for that 3-4 spot. And not to say that any one of us can't upset one of those two, but it is a tough region, but it is a very competitive region that we like because it gives us a chance to make the state playoffs each year. And that's something we're trying to do. Fannin County boys only went to the state playoffs one time in school history. So that's a big thing we're trying to accomplish here at Fannin.
Yeah, and you talk about what you're trying to accomplish. Obviously, just go ahead and share with us about some of your team goals for the year. Obviously, you have some goals where you want to finish in the region, but just overall and maybe some team mantra type stuff that you guys have going.
Well, every year I have we have the goal of winning a region championship. And if you don't have that goal, I don't know why we play. We want to win a region championship, get a home playoff game, but we want to, if that don't happen, we want to get to the state playoffs, like I said, and try to get that monkey off the back here at Fannin. But, our theme this year is relentless, and we're going to be relentless on the defensive side. We're going to, press a lot more than we have in the past. Trying to pick up the tempo, pick it up, push the ball up the floor. And that's going to allow us to play a lot of guys, hopefully, early on and see what they can do. We will come to work, hard work every day, and hopefully leave it out there on the floor.
Absolutely. And then my last question for you is, we've talked about your region and such, so we know you've got a tough region schedule. Share with us about your schedule as a whole, what tournaments you guys are playing in, any showcase type stuff, so that way the fans know where to find you and how to come support you.
Yeah, we'll start next Tuesday. We got a scrimmage here against Murphy. And then that next Saturday, the 20th, starts the ETC tournament that we're in every year. And we're actually hosting it this year. So we'll play the Saturday and then the Monday, Tuesday, Thanksgiving week, all at home. And in that tournament is Copper Basin and Pickens and Gilmer, who will all play each one of those. And then, out of region, we've got Union a couple of times. We are playing in Lumpkin County's Christmas tournament after Christmas, it's a loaded field. I think we match up with Lumpkin the first game, but the next couple games, you could be playing River Ridge, Decula, Johns Creek. I mean, there's some big schools in there. That second, third game is going to be tough. And other than that, I think we played Gilmer another time at third place. But, we have a competitive out-of-region schedule this year that hopefully will prepare us for the tournament.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining me today, Coach, and sharing about your program. Do you have anything else you want to share that we may have missed out about your team, your program?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, and we look forward to getting more coverage out of Fannin County, and we wish you the best of luck this basketball season.
Thank you very much.